Okay guys, so you've clicked on this video in search of an unlimited source of motivation. Don't worry, I've got you covered. Now before we get into the crux of this secret weapon, I would like to tell you two things. One is, look, I'm a firm believer in systems and motivation will fade away and that's where your systems kick in. But even then, I know there are days where I rely on motivation and this one thing really helps me with that. And another thing is, you want to use this thing that I'm going to tell you carefully. Because look, I have sort of figured out a way to use it that doesn't damage me mentally or hurt people around me or make me like ruin relationships and stuff. But I'm going to explain how to do that too. So stick around for the rest of this video to know more. Alright, so here it is, the secret weapon to an unlimited source of motivation. You've probably already heard of it in stories of successful people or just your life in general. You've come across multiple situations like this for sure. And I'm just going to point it out to you, and maybe if you use it a little bit more differently or you sort of be mindful about it, it can really change things for you. Before we get into it though, let me tell you a story to help you better understand things. So, few years ago, I'm playing football, I'm playing semi-professional football. I have this Portuguese coach, right? And there was this one situation where I said something to him and for some reason it was very humiliating. Again, the kid in me didn't realize, maybe it was, I don't remember exactly what it was. But what I do remember is the next day in training, after training, he calls me in front of everybody. We're all doing our cool down, we're all just relaxing after training and we're all together, everybody's there, and he calls me in front of everybody and he's like, Dhruv, you are a snob. Now those three words stuck in my head so strong. Like every time I think about being a spoiled brat or I think I'm being too snobby or anything related to being a spoiled brat, I'm like, okay, wait, that dude called me that. I have to prove him wrong. Now, a little bit of backstory to add on to things. Those three words are what drove me through the rest of that season. This was early on into the season. And for the rest of the season, every day, whether it be getting up earlier and doing some abs before training or getting some touches in before training inside my room before everybody gets up for practice at 4, 5 in the morning, all the time those three words would ring in my head. You are a snob. So it was a little bit personal also, but then again, I channeled that as a motivation or as a source of motivation and drive, and it got me through the entire season where I kept pushing myself. And by the end of the season, that same coach called me to the side and he was like, I'm sorry and I wish I would have taken you into the final team and I wish I would have done all of this stuff, but well, I'm sorry. And that's what it got me. Now, the point I'm trying to get across is using envy as a source of motivation. Now look, there have been ample situations, I'm sure, where all of us can think about a time or a situation where somebody told us you can't do something, or you're not going to be good enough, or you aren't going to stick through with it, or I don't think you'll be able to finish this, or something of that sort. Like even content creation, for example, I have my own source of envy and motivation linked to that too. If you guys know about the Nikhil Kamath channel and the WTF challenge that came out a few months ago, where they had this WTF for creators challenge where we were asked to create a 1-minute video and you do something special about India, all of that stuff. Now I participated in that challenge. I tried to win and be part of the 50 winners. Like that's a lot of people. And I was very overconfident that I would win. Very, very overconfident. But I ended up under delivering big time. My video was awful. But nonetheless, what did I do about it after that? The results came out and obviously I wasn't in it. Did I sit and like, okay, like what I'm not meant to be a creator? No. I was like, okay, Nikhil Kamath thinks that I'm not meant to be a creator or that I'm not supposed to create content. Now I know in reality, Nikhil Kamath doesn't even know who I am and he doesn't even know that someone called Dhruv Rao posted a challenge or exists anywhere in the world. But that's not the point. The point is I use that rejection or that failure as a source of motivation. So that's the next point that I like to add. These two go hand in hand, which is being a victim and envy. So a lot of times when people tell us not to do something, or tell us that we're not somebody, or categorize us into some category like a snob or something like that, you can either be victim to it and be like, okay, you know what, coach doesn't like me, I'm never going to make it. Or, oh, Nikhil Kamath thinks I shouldn't be a content creator, 50 people got in, I didn't, you know what, screw it, I'm never going to be a content creator. You can either do that, or you can channel that energy into envy and boost you. Like, you'll have unlimited supply of motivation. Like, look at me, there are days where I'm like not at all feeling like creating content. In fact, this very video is the second time it's being shot, and it takes a lot of time to set up my whole scene to record videos, and it's very demotivating. But even then, I'm here right now, I'm recording, because why? Nikhil Kamath thinks that Dhruv Rao can't be a YouTuber or can't be a content creator. Now, there are ways to use envy though, because again, it can become very toxic, it can become very negative. You make it personal, and you sort of also end up in this never-ending loop. But since I was an athlete, I sort of figured out a way to do it in a safe manner. And a lot of athletes do this, by the way, and even a lot of successful people. Like, there is always something that somebody says that you can't do. Like the other day, for example, I was watching this movie called Shrikant, which is on Netflix. Highly recommended. It's basically the story about this blind kid from Hyderabad, and he goes up to become like he grows up to study in MIT because he gets rejected by IIM and IIT. And just to remind you, he's blind, so they literally introduce Braille in MIT, which is like much harder to get in than IIT or any IIM anywhere. And he goes on to study there, and he becomes like this really good student, and he comes back and he starts his own business. It's called Bolar Industries. It's there even today, and they're a really successful company, and they basically do recycling of paper and stuff. And all throughout the movie, all throughout his journey, it's people telling him, look, you can't do this, I don't think this is safe, I don't think you should do this. And I'm sure he's channeling that and just being like, okay, you think I can't do it, I'll prove you wrong. And athletes do this all the time. Like Cristiano Ronaldo, for example, when he went to Manchester United, everybody was like, this kid is too skinny, this kid can't play, he's just too tricksy, he's not strong enough, and all of those different things. I am very, very confident. I don't know him in person and none of that, but I'm very sure that in his head it kept ringing like, okay, these guys think I'm that, I'm going to prove them wrong, I'm going to prove them wrong. Again, this envy keeps changing. Like for me, it wasn't always content creation, like Nikhil Kamath saying that I can't do something. It was probably a school teacher. It was probably my friend saying that I can't become an athlete. And then it was my coach later. And now it's Nikhil Kamath. And it keeps changing. So that's the thing about envy, right? You can't just hold one envy forever. Otherwise, it becomes a personal thing. That's one of the first things of not making things toxic. It's not a personal agenda against the person. Like when my coach called me a snob, and when I was working out every day and going hard every day, I wasn't thinking that, oh, fuck this coach, like screw this guy. He was a great person. Like he has probably taught me more about life than a lot of people have. And it's nothing personal. It is just like a coping mechanism of sort. And I was always very clear with that because I was always in awe of that man. But his words, whatever he said, I channeled that and I used it to drive me. I was very clear that I didn't have anything personal against him. Nikhil Kamath even, I have nothing but respect for the guy. And I know at the end of the day, it doesn't even matter in this case because, well, he doesn't know me and me having anything against him doesn't matter at all. But the point I'm trying to make is you do not make envy personal. You are just using it as a source, as a drive of motivation for you. The other day, even somebody from my team, so if you guys watched my previous video, I'll have it show up over here about how I took up this project and how you should do that in your work environment because that makes you a leader for tomorrow. Basically, I took up this project and it was a little bit small. So I said, look, like we're thinking too small. Let's approach things from a bigger perspective and let's go big. And one of the senior people in the team suggested that, look, like I know, you have these goals and all of this stuff, but you're dreaming too big. Now again, nothing personal against these people. Like she seems like a great woman, she seems like a boss woman, and she seems like she knows what she's doing, and I really hope to get some great advice from her going forward in the future too. But I am channeling her saying that, look, you're dreaming too big as a source of motivation to executing the project. So that's the first thing. Do not make it personal. Be mindful about your envy. And another thing is, don't get sucked into the trap of being envious forever. You're going to become very negative and you're going to become very toxic. Fortunately for me, I figured it out with football. Like, okay, look, I don't have anything against this person, and I've continued to do that ever since then. But in case you're trying this for the first time, then you might want to be wary about it, because again, you start hating people more, people start hating you more, and you just make it like a personal agenda to please people and do things for other people, which is why I honestly believe in systems more, because systems is sort of like covered you in all fields and you don't have to depend on an outside source. And I am somebody that always has believed in everything that I do has to come from inside. If I'm dependent on something or someone for anything, whether it be going to the gym, whether it be eating healthy, or whether it be just starting something or doing anything of that sort, it has to be independent, simply because when you're dependent on others, there's always a chance that it can go wrong. I trust myself a lot, and what if I don't have somebody to envy tomorrow? What if I don't have something that somebody says to me that I can't envy and doesn't motivate me anymore? What do I do then? So that's why I believe in systems. If you guys do not know about systems, then please go ahead and comment down below. I know I haven't created a detailed video about it, but I've spoken about it in bits and pieces in different videos. So if you want that, then go ahead and comment down below. I'll create an in-depth video of how I go about it. But that's it for this video, guys, and be careful while you're using envy. Be wary about it, but honestly, like, it's a killer, and there are days where I use it quite often, because again, it's sort of like a backup. When the systems fail, then okay, look, somebody said I can't do this, you know what, screw it. And you do have stories, trust me, you do have stories. Everybody has an example of when somebody told them they can't do something or they wouldn't be good at something, and it just takes a little bit of thinking. And once you do realize people are doing it, make note of it. I can name 101 such situations of where I was being envious, and that helped me drive me to do better and push myself. So sit with yourself, reflect about somebody or something that pushed you or made you feel a little bit sad, and maybe where you became the victim, even where you were like, okay, you know what, everything's against me, maybe it's not meant for me, or maybe I'm shit. And that's your motivation source. So thank you guys for making it this far into the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. That's it for this video, and until next time, see you guys.